Your voice, your opinion, your community. Fact TV, free speech, protected.
Would you take a job that keeps you secluded for 4 to 6 months?
With Wi-Fi and streaming services, yes.
Would you do it if you're stuck with your family the whole time?
Depending on which family, yes.
What if it was possessed by evil?
Oh, then no.
All this and more on Gory Storytime.
Warning. Gory Storytime is a horror movie review show by a son and his dad who thought that letting his 5-year-old watch scary movies was acceptable. If you are offended by horror or talk about blood and gore by a child, or if you don't want horror movies from the 60s through today spoiled, then there is a remote stuck in your couch cushion next to potato chip crumbs. Use it. And of course, parental discretion is advised.
Why? You didn't use any.
Shut up and start the show.
Welcome to Gory Storytime. I'm your host, Jason.
I'm his co-host and father, Craig, and this week we're going to start 4 Stephen King miniseries. We've done a few in the past, but luckily he's done a ton of them, so we have the ability to still do. I mean, we've done it. We've done the original Stand.
We may or may not have done The Langoliers.
I think we might have. So, yeah. This one we're starting with The Shining, since just recently we did the sequel, Dr. Sleep.
And loved it.
So I figured
watch that.
He had never seen this version of The Shining, and he did go into it thinking, I'm probably going to hate this because I love Kubrick's film.
And I haven't read the book,
right.
So I have nothing to stand on if this one's better because of that.
I mean, this one definitely ties in with the book better, but not really the point. So here's the premise for those who don't know the premise of The Shining. A recovering alcoholic brings his wife and son, who he's recently hurt by breaking his arm in an alcoholic rage, to the middle of nowhere in Colorado, into a hotel that needs a keeper over the winter that they shut down for, and he gets slowly crazier and crazier. Sound
yes.
Like that's about, I mean...
You know, The Shining.
For the 2 people that watch a horror review show and don't know The Shining.
I mean, even if they haven't seen this, they know The Shining.
You'd think. All right. So I guess we just show them the trailer and let them show what we're talking about.
Our greatest fears are all around us, hiding in nightmares, shrouded in evil, waiting to be unleashed.
You shine on, boy.
Shine on?
The Bible calls it having vision. I can feel it coming off you like heat.
From Stephen King, the creator of It, The Tommyknockers, and The Stand, comes a completely new vision of terror.
Seize your destiny, Mr. Torrance. Coming, sweetheart.
Are you gonna hurt me, Daddy?
Come down here and take your medicine! Oh, my God.
You're never taking my son!
This spring, go to hell and pray you get out alive. Rebecca De Mornay, Steven Weber.
Daddy's mad at Mommy.
Stephen King's The Shining.
Well, all right.
I purposely chose that one because it didn't give anything away.
Mm-hmm.
Even though there's not much to give away. It's The Shining. Everybody knows.
But they could give away the stuff that's different. Anyway.
Yes.
Before we get into the behind-the-scenes information,
Yes.
it's time for us to do what we do every week, which is reveal our secret plot as to why we actually do the show.
Yes.
It's so we make big piles of money. Big piles.
Big piles. Huge piles. The biggest of giantest
This
piles.
week we got pockets full of plugged nickels to prepare these commercials. Gory Storytime is brought to you by Future Self Industries. We work like big brothers and big sisters, except we use time machines to bring your future self back and guide you through tough times. Future Self Industries, because who knows better than you about what you're going through? Call today.
And by Master Debaters, the show where two people discuss a topic and try to decide things like, is a hot dog a sandwich? Star Trek versus Next Generation, or original movies versus remakes. Master Debaters also has revolving guest debaters, so if you have a good enough grip on a topic and can come hard with facts, you could get a chance to become a master debater yourself. Just remember not to flog yourself if you lose. Master Debaters coming soon.
I would have emphasized certain words better, but sure. You were just trying to not chuckle.
See, I hope that this is much like someone's flipping through their channels and they just catch me saying that again.
That happened with one of the commercials one time.
Tits.
Out of context, it sounds like you're just swearing.
Yeah.
Anyway, is there anything else you want to talk about this movie prior? I mean, it is a 6-hour movie.
4.5, but yeah.
Right. Well, it was 3 2-hour chunks with commercials, and then, yeah, there was like an hour and a half per
each
after you remove the
we didn't have commercials because you have the DVD.
That's true.
Yeah.
I have the DVD because I'm a Stephen King fan, and I have both Shinings. It's not like I have this and not the other one, by the way.
Yeah, that would be awful.
That would seem wrong. But is there anything other than warning them how long this is?
I mean, it's shorter than the book.
Normally you say, watch this.
Yeah, I would say watch this, but I don't think it's available anywhere. You'd have to go purchase it. So, yeah, go watch it, but go spend money and buy it.
Where's ABC's old stuff, hanging out online?
Would be Disney Plus.
Not this, though.
Right.
Hulu, maybe?
Maybe Hulu's got this, but I doubt it.
Well, look it up, because who knows?
It wasn't streaming when I Googled it.
Okay.
Like, last week.
Do you want to go first, or do you want me to?
I will. The Stanley Hotel is not only where the miniseries was filmed, but also the hotel that inspired King to write the novel, having stayed a night there just as the hotel was closing for the season and was nearly empty. He stayed in room 217, which had long been said to be haunted.
So that gives away a couple things.
This is the meat and beef.
Oh, yeah, we didn't say that part?
What the heck?
Sorry. Let's get
into the meat and beef of the show.
Yeah. Okay.
Or as I like to call it, the meat and beef of the show. All right.
You done now?
Yes.
You feel better?
Yeah. Okay, your turn.
Super easy, barely an inconvenience.
Yeah.
You made sure to get in your
I'm going to need to get all the way off my back about that.
Yeah. Anyway, references for those who don't get them. Good. Look them up. Look up those things and enjoy.
Yeah, type those words in. You'll find it.
Anyway, so first of all, quickly, I just want to say that's awesome that this is the actual hotel that it was
and
inspired
that it was
by.
Potentially actually haunted.
Well, supposedly, and that's why you'll notice it said 217, not 237, like in the other movie. That was just Stanley Kubrick changing things just to annoy Stephen King.
And
and
sometimes I like that kind of childish behavior, but that was kind of dumb.
Especially since there was an actual haunted room that was number 217. So but anyway, one of Stephen King's biggest objections to Stanley Kubrick's version is that Stanley was a D-bag. No, I'm not going to say. No, was that Jack Nicholson played Jack Torrance as if he was already mad. This adaptation takes great pains to show that Torrance is fine at the start, slowly succumbing to madness as he endures an isolated winter at the Overlook. Yeah, the other one, it just seems like And we're driving up, and I'm angry.
I mean, he's angry. He has to take his kid and wife. Why would he do that?
It caused me to do really bad Jack Nicholson impressions earlier.
It did. So I'm mad too.
You had to hear him.
Jack fights with
They weren't
alcoholism
good.
was inspired by Stephen King's own struggle with it when he wrote the book.
This mini-series came about largely because of Stephen King's dissatisfaction with the original film. ABC allowed him to do it on the condition he didn't badmouth the film version. And that was a condition for
the sequel
when they were filming the movie version. It's like, you want to use Stanley's stuff, then you're going to need to, yeah. But that wasn't so much King. Your turn.
The role of Jack Torrance was originally offered to Tim Daly. He was unavailable and suggested they offer his part to his Wings co-star, Steven Weber. Steven Weber. Daly eventually worked with Stephen King in the miniseries Storm of the Century.
Which may or may not be one of the 4 coming up.
Yeah.
It will.
It probably, yeah.
I mean, it's one that I own, so I don't have to go out of my way to find it.
It's not out of our way.
Let's see. The miniseries brings back the animate hedge animals from the novel. These were replaced by a nonsense maze that was ridiculous and shouldn't have been in the first movie because it had nothing to do with the book. Oh, sorry, that's my own. Because Kubrick felt the effects were not up to it, which is true. In 1980, you see the effects.
In 1997.
But that was TV budget. They could have done better.
Had they put money into it?
Yeah. Well, they put $30,000 into one scene that wasn't
They could have just put into the other thing instead.
Yeah, well, anyway.
The first shot of the Torrances talking about the Donner Party while driving is virtually identical to the same shot in The Shining.
According to the commentary, Stephen King was the 3rd unit director. He did all of the still photographs that are seen in the scrapbook in the basement.
That's cool. One of the reasons King wanted to tell The Shining as a miniseries was so he could push the violence envelope far more than the film had.
There was more violence in this. They had one scene of his arm, the kid's arm being broke, and then him chasing his wife at the end, and that was the only violence in that movie. This had it throughout. No, it just did. You could say, oh, but it legitimately did. When Jack hears his father on the CB radio, the voice belongs to actor Miguel Ferrer. Ferrer was in the film adaptation of the short story The Night Flyer and the TV miniseries version of The Stand, which was also directed by Mick Garris.
The Stanley Hotel is not nearly as isolated as the Overlook is meant to be. Shooting outside required specific camera angles, or else audiences could clearly see the surrounding town of something Park, Colorado. Estes,
yeah. Director Mark Garris's wife, Cynthia, plays the decomposing guest in room 217.
That's nice. Danny being menaced by a snake-like fire hose outside room 217 is in the novel too, but was omitted from the film. The CG cost of the two scenes was $30,000 according to the EW.com. Now, they could have very well used strings and made the animals look better.
They could have done it more practically and it would have looked better, yeah. Wendy's line to Jack, "You can take your job and stick it," was cut down from "You could take your job and stick it up your ass" by standards and practices at ABC.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah.
The Stanley Hotel was adorned with topiary animals for this film, just like in Stephen King's original novel. Years later, however, a hedge maze was added, just like in Kubrick's film.
So they already had topiary animals for real, and then they added the maze. So if you're a fan of either version, you can go to the real place, and they've got both.
And I bet they've got a 237 as well.
I mean, sure, but 217 is the haunted one.
Yeah, so don't visit that one if you don't want to be haunted.
The scene between Jack and Wendy in the hotel lobby, not the Hobby Lobby, that's a different thing.
Yeah, that's not the same place.
No. Goes on for over 10 minutes, something unheard of in a miniseries. Lengthy scenes like that are very expensive for a television format, which is why all the other scenes are much, much shorter.
Huh. Some of the wasps had to be done with CG, like when Jack finds the nest on the roof.
Which makes sense. The Stanley Hotel is built in a snow shadow where there is little snow, which is why they built a summer resort hotel there. There was very little snow during the 96 film shoot, except for one heavy snow that blanketed things late in the shoot.
Author Peter Straub says The Shining is obviously a masterpiece, probably the best supernatural novel in 100 years.
Which he does a lot more supernatural stuff. He's the one that wrote The Talisman with
Stephen King.
Yeah. And director Mark Garris initially offered the part of Jack Torrance to Gary Sinise, but he turned it down, feeling that the audience would never accept anyone but Jack Nicholson in that role. Which is a lot of people's big complaints about this one is Jack Nicholson killed it, except not if you read the book and know how he's supposed to behave.
I'm going to
Jack
continue
Nicholson,
to not
Jack
read
Nicholson,
the book.
Right, but Jack Nicholson played Jack Nicholson, which he's great at.
Yeah, he's done it every time I've watched him in
But
a thing.
every time he does it, people are like, oh, he's so great. And it's like, no, he wasn't a great Joker. He was a painted Jack Nicholson.
Which was great.
He wasn't a great Jack Torrance. He was Jack Nicholson.
Which was great.
Sure, but he wasn't the character he was playing in any of those cases. Anyway.
Well, if he did a good job.
Like he likes to say, Rotten Tomatoes is a thing.
And we usually like to say that don't blame Rotten Tomatoes.
But in this case, they're just dumb. According to this, okay, I'll explain, because I do every week. They take all the critics' scores, positive and negative, and tell you a percentage. They take all the people's scores, give you a percentage of positive reviews.
Yeah.
There is no critic score this week.
There is none.
And 5 people, according to the website, have reviewed it. All reviewed it positively, so that would be 100%, correct? If you know math.
It would be correct.
Except they claim that 5 positive reviews, being the total amount, is 69%. Because somebody decided they didn't like this version, and they were like, I can't give this 100%. Because it's not a 100% movie. But it is reviewed that way if you look at their website.
I mean, basically everybody was like 3.5 or 4 stars.
Right.
But 3.5 is what it takes to be a positive review on that website.
Right. And it does have 100% positive reviews, not 69% as it
Weirdly
lies.
set. Like,
All right.
look it up yourself and click on the reviews section, and you'll
Now-
see that it's not there.
Which one should we do first? Because you seem embattled with how you feel about this.
Yeah, I don't know.
Overall, would you say you... well, usually if you like it, we go with the worst thing first. And if you don't like it, we go with the best thing first.
I'm
But
kind of like,
you're like
right on the fence with this movie.
mainly because of your love for the other movie, which is really unfair.
It is. And I accepted that. Doesn't mean I'm stopping.
Which is why when we rate these movies, we're not rating them like normal
no.
horror movies. We're rating them for made-for-TV miniseries.
Oh, yeah.
We have to, because that will help us adjust for language that wasn't allowed, blood that wasn't allowed, etc. Like, it's not the fault of anything but the medium. But anyway, just go with the least favorite, I guess.
All right. Well, that's really easy for me, which is the entire movie.
Dude!
I'm watching, like, every time
Wait a
he's
minute.
mad. Every time he's mad and he's walking through the halls and he's screaming, he's carrying around a croquet mallet.
Yep.
Now, I don't know about you, but I'm way less intimidated by this skinny little alcoholic guy running around with a mallet than I am an axe.
But that's what was in the book.
Ah, well, then the book made him kind of a wimp.
No, it didn't have a wood stove. He didn't need an axe. Croquet was a big part of that experience going to that hotel. So why would it... It wouldn't make sense that he would just have an axe.
Well, he's a wimp.
Right. I'll tell you what. I'll beat you to death with one, and you tell me if you die any less.
All right. I'll use an axe. You use a croquet mallet. Let's see who wins.
That's not how it works. It's either way, you have nothing, I have a weapon.
Well,
See the difference? Anyway, my least favorite thing, boy, I'm going to say was the pacing in certain parts. They
like the fact that they did a 10-minute scene in just one spot.
They did do pretty well considering it was 4.5 hours. They did pretty well with keeping it paced, and like no episode was boring.
Right. At no point did I say, all right, I've watched an hour and a half of this. I don't need more.
Right. So it wasn't like you didn't enjoy it. It was just they might have been able to do it in 2.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And do just as well.
Yeah.
And it's just little stuff here and there.
That they just expanded.
Yeah. But but they used it as much as they could to like increase the like
tension.
Yeah, which
whatever, yeah.
I loved in Alien.
Yeah.
You know, we were just talking about that out there with Eamon. So anyway, all right, what was your favorite scene?
Probably one of the like worst looking scenes, but most fun scenes was at the end of what was disc 2, but episode 2, whatever, had the animals all very horribly looking crawling towards Danny, and that it worked for me. I mean, I looked at it as this is ABC's TV budget.
They had earlier done a similar thing where it was getting closer to Jack.
And it looked awful.
Well, no, you liked what they did because they didn't try to CG it. They just, would just cut to it's a little closer, and it's a little closer, and it's a little closer.
Yeah, well, I liked it better when they tried with the bad CG than when they just, kept shooting back and forth.
All right. My favorite scene, boy, honestly, I think, when he smashed the radio.
Yeah.
And he was under the power of the place.
Yeah.
And when he came back, he legitimately didn't remember it was him and blamed his son.
He was like, hey, this wasn't broken when I was last in this room.
Right. And what I like about that is it really, really felt like
he believed that it wasn't him, even though we watched him
do it.
Right.
Exactly. So that would be my favorite, just because as much as it was a bummer for the kid to get blamed.
Yeah.
On a scale of 1 to 10, not based against the other movie, just based against the restrictions of a miniseries, the fact that it
rewatchability, things like these that I'm gonna have to take into account. I enjoyed this. I did. Mm-hmm. While watching it, I was holding against it that it's not Jack Nicholson, and it's not Olive Oil, and it's not Stanley Kubrick.
And that's not fair.
And it's not. And I fully accept that.
Yeah.
And taking that away, it's still not as good to me. And I'm going to give this a 6.
All right. I, as someone who read the book and was very confused as a young child watching the original Shining, which I love. But the first time I watched it, I was like, but this doesn't have anything, so many things had nothing to do with the book I had just read. Because that was something I would do. I would read a book and then watch the movie.
Wow.
And I had freshly read it, and I was sitting there going, what is any of this crap?
I learned my lesson the one time I read the book before watching a movie.
The one time you read a book?
Yeah.
I learned my lesson the one time I read a book.
I did. Because then I watched the movie and it was bad. And
I'm going to give it a 7, by the way, if I didn't say it out loud.
You didn't. But 6, 7, it's not bad. Yeah. I would recommend watching it the one time.
And if you've read the book and you've seen the other movie and you always wondered what would it be like if they tried to be a little more accurate, this is a lot more accurate.
It is 4.5 hours of stuff that you'll like it, but you'll never get that time back.
Another really good scene, I know I didn't say it as my favorite, was the hornet's nest.
The hornet's nest was great.
It was disturbing.
That actually shocked me.
And you were not liking what was happening. It gave you that.
I have a slight fear of bees because I think I might be allergic.
You're not. You've been stung.
I don't know that. I don't remember.
You haven't died, so Anyway, all right. Now do the stuff over on the side.
Yes. So you can watch this show on Fact TV channel 1082, Thursdays at 8:30 p.m. Fridays at 7 p.m.
You can like us on Facebook. And when I say us, I mean Gory Storytime and Fact TV.
You can go to fact8.com and watch a bunch of back episodes of this, as well as many other hours of entertainment and other things.
You can check us out on Twitter. I'm at Craig Jakes, all one word, all lowercase.
I'm at Jiggly Fernbrain. I'm not good at tweeting, but I only tweet things when I do that he says that I find funny.
Yeah, he's got a long list of stuff that he needs to find and do.
Yeah, well, it'll
And
happen.
just check out my YouTube channel. Type in Gory Storytime. It'll come up with mine and Fact TV. Like, subscribe, enjoy.
Yes. And until next week, with a yet to be determined miniseries of Stephen King's, I have been your host, Jason.
I'm his co-host and father, Craig.
And sweet dreams.